What's up, guys? 90 GT's looking real good. You know, smoked out the fog lights, got some new bulbs in there, did the wiring to be able to run what I like to call the mean lights. So being able to run those fogs with the parking, with your parking lights on. Upgraded the cluster to LED bulbs. Did the same with the heater controls. Fixed up the switch here with some epoxy because that was coming loose. But yeah, you can even see those LED bulbs in the cluster in full daylight now, which is very nice. Replaced the cluster lens on the top here because the other one was cracked up in this corner. So when I had that off, I cleaned all behind everything else. And since I have all of this off already, I've decided I'm going to tackle the heater core because it needs to be replaced. And with this much disconnected, it's not going to take that much more time to get this dash yanked out. So I'm just going to finish doing what I need to do to be able to pull it out and just get it done, because it's cooler here now and I want to be able to have some heat before this thing goes away for winter. So over the years on these cars, guys, you know, people have probably had interiors out, they've done things, swapped things. You know, this car, for instance, has an armrest that's been put in. Normally these are 8mm 5/16 bolts. You can see they're mismatched here, holding it on. People just finding what they have to make things fit sometimes. Can't totally blame people, you know. Sometimes people just use what they have or what they can get their hands on. We've all been there, myself included. But I will go through my bins now and try and put as many things back to the way that they should be as possible. I think the biggest nuisance about the dash is that you need to take the center console out. And might have to undo the shifter in here. I did buy a shorter handle. I actually don't like the hearse. And a friend of mine wants this set up anyways. Mr. Andrew, who's done a lot for me. So I will hook him up. Give him the nice hearse handle he's always been wanting. In case you're wondering how to get these side screws for the dash, you just pull off your weather stripping, and if you have little Phillips, these come in all standard kits, you know, your screwdriver kits that you get for Christmas from your family and stuff. And if you don't have a little ratcheting wrench like this that it fits in, a 1/4 inch wrench will do the job. That off. All right, so you'll see there's quite a few bolts that are underneath, you know, underneath your heater controls here. When you get that center console out, the bolts that hold your center console. There's a couple bolts here behind your cluster, the ones that are all along the top by the defrost there. That bolt looks like it's already out. Same thing on the underside, and well, that dash looks pretty loose to me. So I would say we're in pretty good shape. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the heater controls. And oh, this is one that you guys want to get, the light for the glove box. The dash is out, and I got access to the heater box now, so be able to get into that heater core and get that swapped up. Small casualty, windshield cracked on me. There was a stone chip there, and I guess it didn't get addressed, and just must have put some pressure on that glass with the dash, and started cracking. There was a stone chip in the glass here, and that's it. If it wasn't now, I'm sure the cold weather would have done it sooner than later. So that kind of sucks, but I guess I'm gonna get a new windshield out of it. Anyways, that's about it. Next step is gonna be getting to this heater box and getting at the heater core. All right, guys, now there's 2 bolts here. This car does not have AC, so they're pretty accessible. They're super long, so take your time, get them off, but they're what's holding the heater box, the actual firewall. Last bolt that holds the top of the heater core box on. It's definitely the hardest one to get to. And there's the crack. So we'll get a new one in here, we'll be good to go. So got a new heater core in, Spectra Performance, and I'd have to say it's about 1/3 of the weight of the one that I pulled out. So it's light, there's no plastic on it, so that is a little bit of a plus. And get your little piece of documentation here, but it is what it is. I think the biggest thing with these guys, and what I noticed with the last one, is, you know, when motors are getting swapped and you're changing the lines that go on here, people aren't careful enough, and then they usually end up cracking and splitting at the joints here. So just gonna have to keep in mind that if motors are getting pulled or the hoses are coming off this, to be extremely careful with them. So I just went over to the toolbox to grab one of my newest favorite tools. I've never had a pair of pliers like these. I guess I'm fortunate enough to be in a shop that these are in the toolbox. This is the smaller version. There is a larger set here in the drawer as well, but just to give you guys I guess a little bit of a demonstration, these pliers work amazing when you're getting that hose trying to break it loose, because you'll put it right around the hose and it allows you to twist back and forth, you know, without having to try and pry it with a screwdriver, or God knows what you're doing, yanking and going back and forth and putting all kinds of pressure on these lines. So if you don't have a set of those pliers, I would highly recommend them. They've been helpful in more ways than one, but time to put this guy back in. Obviously the installation is going to be pretty much the reverse of the removal, and hopefully it's going to be pretty straightforward. I'm not putting my dash in right away because I've ordered up some fresh interior paint to just clean things up. If you guys aren't familiar with gray interiors and Foxbodies, well, if you just look at this door panel, this gray looks different from this gray, that looks different from this gray. These are obviously, you know, aftermarket, these have been done, but the idea of the game here is to get all the grays to look the same, because in the center console, even the dash, you know, the vents look different than the dash pad. There'll be a video to come on that. So I'm going to get everything consistent in here, looking fresh, looking clean, and just in time to put it away for winter, which kind of sucks, but at the same time, when the nice weather comes around and I can just pull the car out and not have to worry about doing anything else, just kind of turnkey and drive.
There we go.
Brand new heater core is installed. We can see that poking through there. We can get the coolant lines now that was bypassed and get those hooked up.